No one talks like you. No one thinks like you. And no one acts like you. We are all molded and crafted uniquely in our own ways. And you should never think of yourself any less than the main character. And that's why everyone should be narcissistic. Growing up, especially in an Asian culture, the emphasis of being humble has always been such a big part of who we should be. And even though I don't think it's a bad thing, I feel that the overemphasis of being humble can often lead to us downplaying our abilities to the point where we lack self belief. It's almost like every time we think of the dreams we want to achieve, we have this internal dialogue in our head that kind of self deprecates ourselves before anyone else says it. It's like someone basically telling you, who do you think you are? And it's because of this negative self talk and negative reinforcement that ultimately leads us to not pursuing what we actually want to do. And being the main character is not about saying the whole world revolves around me and I should be a bitch to everyone. But it's understanding that this life is yours and you have full control of it and you can do whatever you want regardless of what anyone says about you. You're a poser. This concept may seem so obvious and easy to grasp, but it's actually way harder to put into actual practice. Because having to get over that mental hurdle of not letting your current circumstances define you isn't easy at all. And it's because as humans we tend to only believe in things that we can see for ourselves. Like the age-old saying, seeing is believing, right? But it's very hard to envision a better version of yourself when your current version just seems so far away from it.
I hear you talking at work to the boys in the gym, talking at the bar till I walk in. Baby, why won't you talk to me? Can't get...
That's why having that main character energy is so important. It's not just a form of self-belief, but it's also a level of authenticity to who you are. And for me, I like to look at sports, right, as a representation of life. And in the sporting aspect, if you look at like basketball players like Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, they embody like this main character type of energy. Not because they think they are above everyone else, but they believe that the game is theirs to influence and that they have full control on what is happening in the game. And it really exudes on the court and off the court. If you look at Anthony Edwards, right, you see his post-game interviews, the level of confidence he has in himself, just the way he answers questions shows a level of authenticity. It's like he believes in himself so much, right, that honestly it doesn't even sound like cocky or arrogant. It's just him being him. And one of the most striking incidents that I saw about Anthony Edwards, right, was this clip on TikTok where I saw he was talking to Obama, like ex-president Barack Obama, right, talking about his game. And then Obama was saying how he was good and he was okay, right? But Anthony Edwards responded by saying,
Y'all better stand down. I'm the truth.
nah, I'm the truth. Like that level of realness and how do you say? That level of not being afraid to be himself in front of someone as big as the ex-president, right? Says a lot about his character and how confident he is in himself. And I feel that that's a very good way to live your life. Being proud of who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. Same goes for LaMelo Ball. When you see him on the court, he plays with a style that is almost rebellious. It's so unconventional, street ball like. And it's because of this level of self belief that's why people are attracted to them and gravitate towards them. And what makes it even more compelling is it's not even just about the talent or the God given ability or the natural athleticism, but it's the mentality. They don't seem trapped by the fear of embarrassment and failure the way most people are. Even when they make mistakes, they continue acting with confidence, as if setbacks are part of the storyline and not the end of it. I remember recently after the Spurs versus Wolves game where Wolves won, right? But Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter, he threw a turnover when they were up by 4 points that could have cost them the game. And then in the post-match interview, when they asked him about it, he fully just owned up to it. And he was like confident about it. So I think that level of accountability, authenticity, and also he's not afraid to own up to his mistakes and own up to when he has fallen short. That is what people respect, and that's what people admire. Because when someone's able to realize what they have done wrong, it also shows a level of confidence. It shows that, hey, this person is confident in himself, he's comfortable in his own skin, and he's not afraid to say that I'm wrong. That's the kind of main character energy that people admire. Not arrogance, but the willingness to fully own your identity and take up space without apologizing for it. Just being unapologetically yourself. What makes this even more interesting about the main character energy is that it has nothing to do with your actual status in life. Some people with the most main character energy or presence when they walk into a room have no achievements, no money, no recognition, but they still have this quiet certainty about them. And this just shows that the main character energy is not what you have externally, but it's more about the relationship you have with yourself internally. It's less of, oh, I have this gold chain on my neck, or oh, I got this Rolex on my wall, or I got this Rolex on my wrist. It's less about all this materialistic stuff and more about the internal self-confidence that you have. And I feel that this level of self-confidence can only be attained once you make the decision to stop viewing your life as the audience, but viewing your life as the protagonist. So changing your perspective and assuming the role of the main character essentially. Because once you believe that you are the main character and that this is your life and you want to write your own story, then you feel more in control in your life. And when you feel more in control in your life, you tend to be more confident in yourself because you're not just floating around mindlessly, going with the flow like a dead fish in the water. You're actually moving with purpose and moving with intention. And I say this because a lot of us unconsciously live our lives trying not to embarrass ourselves. We avoid posting that video, approaching that person, starting that business, wearing what we want, or speaking our minds because we are overly aware of how we are being perceived by other people. We basically care too much. Like like right now, I was low key scared and daunted to film this video in public, in McRitchie, in front of people behind me, and then people walking by, judging me, looking at me. Yeah, I was scared. I had that fear. But I had to like shut off that emotion and really like just not give a fuck. It's having that not give a fuck mindset and doing what you want to do that is important. Because when you really think about it, every memorable person in film, music, history, sports, or even your own lives, they went through a phase where they look delusional to everyone else. But before confidence becomes admirable, right, it's often embarrassing first. And I feel that's the mental barrier that people often fail to overcome. They wait for evidence before they believe in themselves. But those who stand out, they believe in themselves even before the evidence exists. And whenever I think about this concept, there's one example that really stands out in my mind, and that is Kanye. Because after watching the Kanye documentary, right, you'll realize that he manifested his entire life even when he had nothing, when he was a boy in Chicago, he believed that he was going to be the biggest artist in the world. And he kind of achieved that. And that is because when he was young, he would often say that his mom would tell him that he can achieve anything he set his mind to. Anything is possible. It's also seen in the interviews that he had throughout his career, where there was one they asked him, oh, if you decide to be an NBA player tomorrow, would you make it to the NBA? He said he believed that he would. And it's because of that level of self belief and delusion that he has in himself, right? That is why he's so successful and why he's living how he's living, even though he's quite controversial right now, saying all the wild shit. But yeah, it just shows that as long as you embody that mentality that you are him and you are that main character, I think you'll be quite happy with your life because you will actually do things that you want to do and you will try and better yourself in a way that you want to and not because other people say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, this is best for you, but do what you really want. That's why I think a certain level of delusion is honestly necessary. Not the level of delusion where you deny reality, but where you refuse to let your current reality determine your future identity. Because if you only see yourself for who you currently are, you'll never be able to grow beyond that version of yourself and really achieve your max potential. And if you think about every artist, athlete, entrepreneur, creator, they had to imagine themselves far greater than who they were at that point in time. And that's why I feel people with the main character energy feel so magnetic because they often act in alignment with the people that they believe they can become rather than who they currently are. And ironically, when you stop shrinking yourself to fit into other people's expectations, you often become more authentic and more connected to others, not less. Because people are drawn to people who are comfortable in their own skin. Because deep down, everyone wants to have that level of confidence in themselves. They want to have that freedom to fully express themselves without having to filter every action they have through fear, shame, or approval. That's why confidence has such a contagious effect. Like when you see someone genuinely confident in themselves and fully being themselves, it subconsciously gives you the permission to do the same. So maybe everyone should be a little narcissistic. Not in the toxic sense, but in the sense where you care about your life enough to fully participate in it and feel that your story is worth investing in.
As well as to romanticize your existence a little, to walk through life feeling like your presence matters. Because at the end of the day, whether you choose to embrace that role or not, this is still your life. And if you spend the whole time acting like a background character in your own story, eventually somebody else will end up writing it for you.